And the Russo-Ukrainian War has entered a new phase. Ukraine's Western allies are finally acknowledging something that the three of us here, Mark Sleboda and you and I, have been talking about for years, that Russia, which controls 35% of Ukrainian territory, is prevailing and will probably win in the end. Trump has signaled that the blank check of weapons and money to Kyiv is about to expire and that he wants a peace deal. Putin says that Russia is ready to negotiate. Zelensky also says he's willing to talk. So will peace talks actually happen? And if so, how will they likely conclude? A sideshow to the conflict has also been Ukraine's incursion into the Kursk region of southwestern Russia. Russia and allied North Korean forces have encircled the Ukrainians occupying Russia, and Ukraine has made much of the North Korean forces that have been operating there, although I'm not really sure exactly what their point is supposed to be about this. They just sort of say, look, you have North Koreans, as if that's
there's some yellow people here.
Yeah, like
we're Mongol.
We don't like North. Yeah, there's no Asians. There's no Asians in Asia. What?
Anyway. No. Look, I'm gonna let me just say this, because as we know, there are native Russians who look like me.
Millions of them.
Yes, and if the Ukrainians, they consider themselves like super white, right? That's why they're super white, super like bread loaf white. Mm-hmm. And they don't even consider their neighbors, the Russians, to be white. They're Übermenschen, right? Like they're not as white as them.
Although, who didn't really agree with that?
With having people that look like me next to them.
The Nazi Germans didn't really think of the Ukrainians as being quite as white
as
they
were. I agree. This is just, like Stockholm syndrome for Western Ukraine. But I don't know. But let's bring in our guest, because he knows a lot about that stuff.
Let me introduce him. Joining us to talk about all this is Mark Sleboda, International Relations and Security Analyst. Please follow Mark on Twitter, with now X, at Mark Sleboda1, on his YouTube channel at The Real Politic with Real Mark Sleboda, and he's over on Facebook at facebook.com/Gramsci, Gramsci. Thanks, Mark. Always great to see you.
Ted, Manila, thanks for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be on the TMI show. And I have to admit, Manila, just the other day, I was walking in downtown Moscow, my face pressed to my phone screen, when I caught a glint far above, just reflecting. And I looked up just in time to dodge out of the way of a falling space module.
That can happen.
It can happen. I thought you were going to say you caught a glimpse of an Asian Russian.
Oh, I'm sure that happens.
All I have to do is look around the metro for that. I mean, yeah.
The Ukrainians are flipping out. They're flipping out, Mark, because there are people that look like me in Kursk with weapons.
Well, I don't know if they look like you, but I mean, that's only from the perspective that all Asians or Asiatics look alike, right? Which is also demonstrably false. But
we all know each other too.
For ignorant Americans who are familiar with, I don't know, one or two Chinese American actors in Hollywood, and that's their entire experience with Asian looking people, then perhaps they might think that. So the Kyiv regime is now claiming that it has captured 2 North Koreans. Mm-hmm. I have it on good account from my sources in the Ukrainian intelligence, the SBU, that they also have captured 4 Martians and 2 Alpha Centaurians who were fighting for Russia. So, I mean, it is a truly intergalactic force that the Kyiv regime has managed to defeat in the Kursk region. Yeah, they claim that they have killed, I don't know, it's either 4,000 North Koreans or 4 billion. I'm not sure. Something in between there, right?
They do have video, though, of 2 dudes who
it's on the screen right here.
They're kind of haranguing.
There are 2 dudes. Yes, they have captured 2 dudes. I will say that. However, those 2 dudes look nothing like people from North Korea. I hate to tell you. They look exactly like what the military documents that the Kyiv regime intelligence authorities presented to the Western press. that shows that they are Russians from the Republic of Tuva, right? Tuva is a republic in Siberia, in the far east in Russia. Right. And the people there actually look, amazingly enough, exactly like that. Not like North Koreans, but like that. And they do not look the same. But, of course, the Kiev regime says, but this is only proof that these documents are fake. That they're really North Koreans who were handed documents that claim that they are Tuvan. And how do we know that they're North Koreans? Because evidently, according to Ukrainian intelligence, they don't speak any English, amazingly enough, any Ukrainian, okay, I'll buy that, or Russian. Okay. They only speak Korean. Now, of course, they were only given written statements collected from the SBU. No Western journalist has actually spoken, or Ukrainian journalist for that matter, has actually spoken on camera to these North Korean soldiers, that we could hear them speak Korean, because they don't speak Korean, because they're Russians from Tuva.
What, by the way,
can we just look, this is what Koreans look like. North Koreans look like. If you look at the soldiers this is what North Koreans, there is a look, and we do look slightly different from country to country. And those guys, as you said, didn't.
Yeah, their eyes are different.
Their noses are different. Their color is different, because North Korea is cold, dude. Like they're usually more pale.
Here. So, I remember crossing the border from China into southeast Kazakhstan, and I was startled that even along the border, inside Kazakhstan, not very far inside Kazakhstan, people still were using chopsticks. In other words, there's a little bit of cultural bleed across international borders,
absolutely.
Right? In the same way that, like, a lot of people in Arizona, more people speak Spanish in in Arizona than do in Montana. Is Korean spoken at all in areas of Russia that are near North Korea? That's my first question. My second question is, who cares? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they really did capture North Koreans. So what? Is it like? I'm trying to understand the Ukrainian narrative here about the North. Like, who cares that Russia has North Koreans helping them? And
these guys look beaten up, Mark. Whoever they are, they don't look like they've been cared for as POWs.
There's actual, of course, they could have fought and been subdued, right, when they were captured, or the SBU could be beating, the living daylights out of them to acquire these written confessions that of course they wrote and signed, that they are actually North Koreans, not Tuvans, right? I mean, that's what is being presented here. So, I mean, Ted, yes, of course, there is bleed over, as there is in every country, but no, there are Koreans who are Russian citizens, right? Who immigrated from Korea to Russia, right? Who speak Korean, but there is no ethnic area of Russians that speak Korean, not even in Tuva or anywhere close, right? And there's not a direct connection there. So there's not a lot of non-ethnic Korean speakers in Russia, which would, of course, make it an extreme minority.
In fact, Mark, isn't there a very prominent Korean-Russian businesswoman there, like very wealthy? I forget what her craft is, but she's
the head of Wild Berries, which is kind of an Amazon rough equivalent, right? And yes, she is Russia's wealthiest woman, right? Wow. She is. There's nothing that you can find about her that's really Korean, right? Other than some, she grew up here, right? So on. But I have to say there is a lot of Korean street food in Russia, though, right? Korean restaurants, and Korean food. Even I could go to my local grocery market and pick up some Russified Korean marinated food, because Korean food is very popular in Russia, like Chinese food is in the United States. And a lot of it is not even real Korean food. It's Russified Korean food, which means it has much less spices. Because Russians don't have a taste for spicy food. So, but
Yes.